First of all, I'm a very optimistic person, so I don't undermine that $5 billion cannot be achieved. So,
500 billion है
uh,
sir. जी, yeah.
I'm for 500. I'm saying it's not something which cannot be done. So, वो हमारे कहते हैं कि इरादे अच्छे होने चाहिए,
जी,
बाकी तो रास्ते बनते रहते हैं.
हाँ,
Secondly, since you have brought up this issue of Russia's relationship,
yeah,
if you see that right from the beginning, even during the time of Soviet Union and even today with Russia, we have very strong relationship on the defense side. But as far as the trade is concerned, if you see, India has a trade deficit with Russia today of about $63 billion. With China, you have entered into recently some kind of trade deal. With China, your trade deficit has gone 25% in the last year. So today, if you see, your India's trade deficit with China is $116.12 billion. So United States is one of those countries where actually
right,
United States is the only country where you have a trade surplus. Even the European Union, you have trade surplus, but it's a union. It's a union of 27 countries. So United States is the only country where India has a trade surplus. So
right,
from that point of view, if you ask me today,
right.
India in every respect is a big gainer. India has now come back to United States, which India has a very big market.
Yeah,
Russia, Russia is basically a salesman selling something in
right,
India. China is a salesman selling
right.
something in
Okay,
India.
so that's what you're saying. I'll come back to you, Anandji, in a bit. I've got Mangalam Malu from CNBC and also Mahalakshmi from Moneycontrol joining us this morning. Good morning, ladies. Thank you for your time. But Mahalakshmi, first up, are you going to read in the fine print or are you going to say, all right, finally what's happened, it's happened later than sooner, but der aaye durust aaye, as Lata Venkatesh was also saying. So your thoughts on this announcement?
No, no, absolutely, absolutely. There I Durustai, not only because of US, and I think in the interim period, the number of FTAs that we have signed, so it's really expanded the export canvas for India, and I think that is the biggest positive structurally for India. From markets perspective, of course, this is a huge sentiment boost. But if you look at the market map, the number of stocks or sectors that it's not a very big portion, right? Like the US export facing stocks are not a very big portion of the market.
Right.
But because of this sentiment relief, we'll see like a rally definitely today. And then we will have to wait and watch what happens on ground, how growth pans out, other concerns for markets, which is how the earnings for this quarter are going to pan out, how the next 2 quarters will look. But definitely this is a very significant movement, because
Well, the rupee is rallying,
overall
Mahalakshmi. Rupee
point.
is rallying quite a bit, 1.5% rally already over Monday, or let's say from Friday onwards. 90.40 is where it is trading at. But in terms of competition, sectors that have been opened, Russian oil not going to be bought. We're going to buy Venezuelan oil again, and also more oil from the US. How does that pan out for us as a country? Because moment we open up sectors, have we opened up a few more sectors than before? And does that mean there's going to be more competition in certain protected sectors like dairy, agriculture, automobiles?
Again, from the listed universe, I don't see this as a huge problem. I would like to think that most of our businesses which are domestic facing are already competitive. I don't think those are concerns for the market, and those will not play out immediately anyway. I think as long as our domestic growth is strong enough, and of course we have a lot of things have happened over the last 1 year, both from the RBI side, both from the government's relief measures in terms of income tax cuts, GST cut, and all that. All that has not completely played out, right? We thought that there will be a immediate perk in demand in the first 2 quarters. That has not happened in a big way. But as you keep on creating conditions for growth to revive, at some stage it will come. If not in this quarter, next quarter it will
Yeah.
come. And by that time, if the markets are not euphoric, it is not running ahead of fundamentals, you are correcting in stock prices. That means that the opportunity becomes slightly better at every point. So that's how I look at it. Of course, we have to hold our horses in terms of, people are saying that, this is a big moment that will mean a reversal in FII flows.
Yeah.
I don't think we should expect any kind of magic like that. Again, rupee was one of the factors which was weighing on,
Yeah.
foreign investors, because it's a big part of the equation, especially when all other currencies in the world are actually appreciating. You have a depreciating currency and a more than normal depreciation, right? Last 1 year we have depreciated more than 7 8, nearly 7 8%. So that now goes away, because we have some comfort that now rupee is not going to depreciate, nobody is going to sort of hedge.
Yeah.
That's not like excessive risk. So those are positive factors. But then there are so many other pulls and pushes in the market. For example, most of the foreign investors today are looking at AI as a basket to invest in, lots of new age stocks that they want to invest in. India valuations are high, and it's not that the rest of the world is not growing. Korea,
Right.
Taiwan, many other emerging markets are growing significantly. I mean, their earnings growth is much better than what we have seen in the last 1 year.
Yeah.
As long as our growth revives and our valuations are anyway now muted compared to last year and the year before, we incrementally become a better market to invest in. And the rupee stabilization, of course, adds to the appeal.
Right, Mahalakshmi, I'm just going to bring Mangalam Malu in also on this. Mangalam from CNBC. Even as Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Parliament, there is going to be a little bit of a ceremony as the NDA is going to celebrate and do a little bit of a song and dance about Prime Minister under his leadership, not just showing the patience, but the resilience to be able to withstand pressure from the US and then get a deal where it is in the interest of Bharat. But the market sentiment reflecting this, Mangalam, this morning?
Yes, markets are a figment of sentiment, and this morning, if in the very near term, if markets have to be a voting machine, they have voted with both their thumbs up. And why do I say that? Because over the last few trading sessions, the sentiment was fairly damp on account of all the factors that we've been talking about earlier. The FII selling in Indian markets, there not being a meaningful pickup in growth. At the same time, there wasn't any immediate big bang announcement in an otherwise fairly pragmatic and balanced budget. The STT hike was a bit of a dampener for F&O traders as well. And alongside all of that, all the foreign institutional investors that we're talking about in the futures side, they were on the short side. 88% or roughly 9 out of 10 investors from the FIIs, they were on the short side or betting on the markets to go down. So when the sentiment is so much down in the dumps, then any positive trigger is a big trigger, and that's exactly what has taken place. This morning, the Nifty opened 1,200 points higher, which is basically the highest ever gap-up opening that we've seen, bar none. And the last time we saw that was when there was a truce between India and Pakistan in Operation Sindoor. Right now as well, the Nifty is holding with a gain of almost 800 points. Yes,
right.
From a sectoral standpoint, the up move has been limited to textiles, to to all the auto ancillary companies and to all the chemicals who export to the US from a fundamental standpoint. But the sentiment is so powerful that with a strengthening rupee, with all the money coming in the Indian markets, expected to improve right now, and the big trigger of the US-India trade deal, which was waiting for over 15 months right now, that has happened. And
Right.
all eyes will now be on Friday, where the RBI policy happens, whether there will be an interest rate cut or not. So things are now looking on the mend after being beaten down.
Right.
The sentiment is fairly positive.
I'm going to read Prime Minister Narendra Modi's tweet, interesting one that he's tweeted just a bit. Mahalakshmi, your colleague and our colleague Chandra Shrikant's question to Donald Trump at Davos now seems quite prophetic, because Chandra there, where she just caught him at the top of the stairs and asked him, is there a trade deal? And he said, yes, we're going to work out a trade deal. The first big positive indication saying that we will work out the deal came from Trump at Davos, and that was while he was speaking with Network 18. We'll play out that conversation also, because from there, somewhere it looked like there is momentum, and then Sergio Gore comes in, and there is a certain level of impetus that's given towards closing this deal. Get this deal done, and that's what's happened. So we've spoken both with Sergio Gore, but before that it was Donald Trump himself, while he was speaking with Chandra Shrikant, that this happened.